Yeah, so rest of the things, did you check that part?
Yeah, until judicial separation, divorce.
Mm-hmm. So grounds and all is fine only, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So
So,
each of the grounds, there are
hmm,
9 grounds for separation. So
hmm.
each of them 2 to 3 line explanation. If I put, then that will stretch it to more than 1 page. No, like if they ask
Ah,
short
hmm.
note or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, if the husband does this, or
Mm-hmm.
if the wife does this, or if it's like this, then okay,
Yeah,
okay.
2, 3 sentences you can write, and that will stretch it, I think,
Hmm.
more than 1 page only. And then rest, intro, conclusion, this, that you can give. Like, why is it good that now we have the provision of divorce and judicial separation? Earlier, it was not there.
Hmm.
Those also you can put in conclusion, like your opinion kind of thing. That also you can put.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. All right. So for unit 4, right? See, obviously there
Hmm.
is going to be like two 6-mark questions from this unit as well, right? Just like the
Unit
other
4.
ones. Hmm?
Unit 4.
Yeah, yeah, unit 4. Sorry, I said 3. Yeah, so there I think will be like two questions, two 6-mark questions also. So they may ask you to write a short note on success, this thing, right? Sridhan is also there, I guess, right? Yeah, Sridhan and all, they may ask you to write short note. So that thing you can prepare from here, because I have seen that question quite often. And otherwise also it's basically like inheritance and succession, this one legislation only. So whatever you know from there, right, you will be able to answer it. So accordingly, you remember name of the legislation.
Hindu Succession Act, is it?
1956, yeah.
No, the two frequently asked 6-mark questions, though
Hmm.
them. Uh, are they like Stridhan and what Hindu Succession Act, or?
Like from Hindu succession, something that they will ask only, right? I guess like Sridhan they should ask, and maybe there can be a question on will or something also, right? So will I have seen with regard to that, but Sridhan is like a common question that they have asked, and some like a general question from the legislation that they ask, so that you will anyways be able to answer. For Sridhan, you can be prepared if there is a question like write a short note on Will and Sridhan, any one of it, you can go for Sridhan maybe. Okay, or you can go for Will also. So we will prepare Sridhan and Will, as well as some idea with regard to the legislation, so that whatever question they ask, right, you will be able to answer that part. Okay.
Hmm.
So again, this part same only, applicability of these legislations. Do you remember on whom it's applicable?
Yeah. This Hindu Succession Act, or?
No, all the legislations, last class I told you, right? Same
Yeah,
thing applies for
yeah,
all
yeah.
of these.
All over India except J&K, and then after 2019,
No, no, like
it's
religion
applicable
wise.
in J&K. Religion wise, that way, Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, and this one, Hindu, Jain.
Yeah.
Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, Jain.
Mm. Same
Hmm.
thing here also it applies. So if a general question is there where you feel maybe you can stretch the main question thing for like 1.5 page, you can write all these things also, that it is applicable to all these religions and normal jurisdiction wise applicability, that part also you can write. Now we will have a like basic understanding on the Hindu Succession Act, so that whatever question comes, you will be able to answer. Okay, we are not going much into detail or something like that, you should be able to answer. So just like we are doing for all these legislations, right, basic idea we will have for this legislation as well. Yeah, divorce, these are the grounds that we had. Okay, now if there is a question, like obviously there will be a question only from this succession thing, right? You first of all, you can give intro with regard to the legislation, right? Like the jurisdiction and all that stuff you can write. Then you can give a separate heading, applicability of that legislation. Then you can write about the religions where it's applicable. After that, because it is dealing with property, right? You can give a general intro kind of a thing, okay, that property is an evergreen symbol of status which often decides any random intro you give with regard to property, all right, before starting your answer, because this you can extend like 2-3 sentences you can write on that as well. Then you can mention that there are two different types of property. One is ancestral property, another one is self-acquired property, all right. This I am just telling you some basic things which wherever you feel is relevant, right, you just put this, okay, you just remember these simple things and you can put that part, all right. Take for example, there is a question
Here
with,
property, like here property means physical land or house or something like that, no?
yeah, or it may be some other like valuable things also, like these kind of things, right, jewelry on all, if people are having that also, some it will get transferred, right? So those also might be included, all right. So you, if there is a question with regard to like write a note on will, okay, and you feel you don't have much to write, there also you can write that there are these two different types of property. That part you can, means wherever you feel it's possible you can insert that to be more detailed with regard to it. Now, some general intro with regard to property you can read from here also. It is people in India are quite obsessed with notion of property holding. So there are two different types of property, ancestral and self-acquired. So what is the difference?
Okay, ancestral is it's been in the family for generations. Self-acquired means someone on his own he'll go and buy.
Yeah, someone on his own he will go buy and he will basically acquire that property. So the concept of will be applicable with regard to the self-acquired property. Ancestral property from birth only, like if you have some ancestral property, right, your kids will be having a right over that property since birth, all right. So same, because it's not your property, you have also inherited from your previous generation, right? But in case of self-acquired property, the concept of will be applicable, where you can decide whom you want to give how much. So if there is a question with regard to will also, you can maybe give this intro and then you can write that it is applicable with regard to self-acquired property. And there are two different types of property, ancestral and self-acquired. Will be applicable in terms of self-acquired property. A Hindu may dispose of by will or other testamentary disposition any property which is capable of being disposed by him in accordance with provisions of Indian Succession Act or any other law which is applicable to him. So wherever you are having a like right to dispose of the property, you have a right over that particular property, you can transfer it as well. Now we will discuss this thing with regard to the Succession Act. With regard to Hindu Succession Act, we will discuss this thing, all right, like basic how it has evolved, that thing we will discuss. But before that, there are two things, testamentary as well as interstate transfer of property. All right, like if you see testamentary succession will, it is given also in unit 4. So they may ask that what is testamentary succession. If a question like that is there, you can mention what is testamentary and then you can explain in detail with regard to will. All right, so a testament, or more popularly a will, is what it is mentioned under Indian Succession Act. So testamentary means what? When property is distributed by way of a will. So you have already written a will mentioning how much of the property should go to whom and every single detail you have mentioned, and based on that testament or based on that will, if property is distributed, right, that will be called as testamentary succession. So in case there is a question with regard to will, you may also mention that there are two ways of succession, testamentary as well as intestate. Testamentary is when the person prepares a will before his death, and based on that will only property is distributed. Intestate is when the person dies without leaving a will, right? Without having a will. In that case, it will be equally distributed. Now, what is will? It's a legal document or like a declaration where the person or owner of the property will indicate his will, basically. Legal document will contain details, name of persons who will acquire, manage or benefit from his estate after his death. Sometimes a person may have like he may be having some take for example, a person is having like 2-3 properties, and he wants that this particular property, right, I want to donate it to a certain organization for maybe like I want that some trust is open here, and then there will be a library, people will come here, read books and get benefited. All right, if a person is having that kind of a wish, he may say that okay fine, now I'm living here, after my death what will happen is this property will be transferred to this particular person, and that particular person will open a trust and he will manage this particular trust, right? That means we are not giving the property to that person for his benefit, but we are giving this right to manage, right? He will have to open a trust and then manage, maintain every single thing, right? All those things you can mention in will. This mostly happens, people may want that okay fine, after my death this thing will happen. Once there is a question on will, you can mention that it's not just that we are transferring property, we may also give this obligation on a person as well to manage or certain things with regard to a property. Like there was a singer, very famous singer here. When the person died, he left a will saying that whatever property I have, they should like open a trust with regard to that, open like a singing school and all that stuff, and this person should manage it. So all those things the person may write in his will. A court may initiate legal proceedings also after death of the person who made that particular will to determine authenticity of that will, whether it was genuine or not. Court may instigate proceedings. So there are cases where case is filed for succession matters under will. That means whether will is genuine or not with regard to that, many times cases are also filed. Ordinarily, during course of court proceeding, witnesses are asked to appear before court and testify regarding authenticity of that particular will. They will have to say whatever they have to say with regard to it. Will can only be created by competent person, whoever is the owner of that particular property, with a sound mind and above 18 years of age. That is not a minor, because again, minors are not entitled to make contract or give these kind of things, right? Accordingly, the court, what happens is, thus on the take for example, sometimes a person has made a will, all right, but that will is not registered. In that case, we will not say that okay fine, this person has created this will but he has not got it registered. That does not decrease the value of that particular will, all right? It will still be valuable. It property will still be divided on the basis of that only. But if that will is not registered, right, before a registrar office, in that case, what happens? Someone may put a question with regard to authenticity of it, right? If there are 3 persons, one is getting very less, that person may put a question with regard to authenticity. So it's not like compulsory that you need to register only, otherwise not, it will not be valid or something. It will still be valid, but it is advisable that you get it registered. All right, so will may be made at any time during lifetime of a person. This is general thing, right? You can remember also, you will be able to write also. So it will be good if they ask like 10-mark question from will and maybe 6-mark question from Sridhan, because these two are very common topics. So at that point of time also you will have things to write. So you can say that it may be made at any time during lifetime of the person, and once he prepares a will, it's not like that is end, he can make changes to it as well. There is no legal restriction as to number of times he can make changes in an existing will. It can be withdrawn at any time during lifetime of the person who has made that particular will. A will is to be attested by 2 or more witnesses, each of whom should have seen the testator signing that particular will. Then certain essential features also you may write. If it's a long question, right, like 10-mark and all, you can write features and all also. What may be features? It's a legal declaration, right? Document where this division and other things are mentioned. It is a legal document. It's a legal declaration that will be binding. So the person will say that with my sound mind, knowledge and everything, I am writing this particular will without anyone forcing me or without anyone unduly influencing me or anything. So that is the reason why it will be binding, and it will have binding force upon the family once the person dies. So you can write that it is a legal declaration that will have legal validity, right? Whatever you are saying there, it will be binding on the person. Disposition of property. So the person who leaves property to the person or people chooses to leave his assets and belonging, he will mention to whom he wants it to be transferred. By way of will, he can make all of his property. However, a member of undivided cannot proportionate property. So basically, it is with regard to self-acquired property only that you can divide it, and accordingly you can do it. All right. Takes effect after death of the person only when the person dies they will go before the court. Now in such a case, if the will is not registered, someone may put a question. In that case, court will decide on its authenticity, right? Whoever were witnesses while signing that particular will, court may ask for them to come and appear before court and testify and all that stuff. So it is usually advised that once will is prepared, it is registered, so that in future there is no question of it's whether it's genuine or not. Regarding that, there is no question, because when it is registered, it will be safe in custody of the registrar, and when the person dies, then their legal heirs can go before that registrar and then they can ask for a copy of that also, right, by producing that certificate. But if it's not there, then people can go and file cases also saying that this is genuine, this is not genuine, and all that stuff. All right. So is this part clear? You will be able to write like 10-mark question.
Yeah, essentials of will and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, essentials and all. You can basically write things, right? Here you can even mention registration is not, you can frame your own features also, right? That registration is not compulsory, but yet it's advisable and all those things also. Then you can mention that there is no restriction that you can distribute the property amongst your family members or your family or relatives only. You can even give it to some random stranger also. All right, with regard to your self-acquired property, that also you can mention as a feature only, right? Then there is no, like, law has not specified how it need to be distributed or in how many parts you can distribute it. You may give 1% to someone, you may give 99% to someone. There is no restriction as such. You can frame your own features as well. All right. Okay, so just remember this particular thing, all right, that you can write this kind of an intro. Whatever question they are asking does not matter. These other things we have only. So those things you write in normal intro. When you are starting with the topic, there you write it. Like if they are asking write a short note on will, you just start with these things, that this happens, that happens. Testamentary intestate, and then will is applicable with regard to testamentary succession, where the person will clearly specify what he wishes with regard to his property, right? And accordingly it will be done. Next is Stridhan. So what is Stridhan? Take for example, there is a question on Stridhan and you do not have much of content. What things you can write there?
Basically, what part of the property the woman should get, like wife or daughter. I'm guessing it that only Stridhan. So
okay. Before that, we will just see this part, all right? Okay. Now, yeah, so we know, right, that there are this self-acquired property and ancestral property. How ancestral property will be divided? It was usually like the male only who will get it, all right? Like daughters will not have right over property, but male son, whoever son were there, right, those sons only would get the property. That was the concept initially. All right, so before this act, after this act came, right, Hindu Succession, Indian Succession Act 1956, after that also what happened is sons only were given the property, all right, because daughters would get married and they will go away, so they were not given this particular right with regard to property, all right. So basically daughters were having limited rights with regard to ownership of property. Those things also you can write in your intro for Sridhar. Okay, so before 2000 or till 2005, only male had right to acquire property. To the son only it will get transferred. After 9 September 2005, in 2005, there was basically one amendment that gave daughters will also have some rights over property. All right, and they said that this particular amendment that we are bringing, it will be effective from 9th of September 2005. So from 9th of September 2005, this property that the father is having, right, daughters will also have right over that property. Same, just like son has, daughter is also having that right. Problem was that they fixed a date, all right, that 9th September 2005. From this particular date, it will be effective, it will be applicable, all right, this change that we are bringing. Now the question was, if you are fixing a date, is it necessary that father should be alive on this date? What will happen if someone died like August 2005? What will happen? Will daughters have a right to claim property or not? That was the question that was asked. So after this 2005 amendment came, right, there was this one case which was filed in 2016 asking whether it is necessary that father should be alive on this particular date. What will happen if father died before this date? Will daughter still have a right to acquire that particular property or not? So in this particular case, court said that father need to be alive on this particular date. If someone has died before this date, daughters will not have any right. All right, daughter is not having any right to acquire property or anything. Only after 9 September 2005, whoever dies, those daughters will have right. After 2 years, another case was filed. Same question, all right. And in this time, Supreme Court said that no, even if father died before 2005, 9 September, daughter will still have a right. Because why? Son is having a right over that property since birth. Same will happen in case of daughter only. They both are equal, same rights they will have. If son is having a right to acquire property, daughter is also having a right. It is not necessary that father should die after this date only. Then there was another case where it was said rights of daughter on ancestral properties from birth, and it is not necessary for father to be alive. All right, that means there was this quote, like same thing, they like a conflict, right? Basically, like division bench judges were there, where one said that no, father should be alive, another said father should not be alive. So which one do we obey? Now it is finally settled in August 2020, where it was said that daughters also have equal rights on ancestral property right from their birth, just like a son, and it is not necessary that father should be alive on 9 September 2005 or something like that. If you can remember this thing, Vinita versus Rakesh 2020. Can you remember this?
Vinita, okay, fine.
Fine, right? Just some name, right? Just like your colleague's name, you can remember. Vinita versus Rakesh 2020, just last year. Time only case, August. That you can remember, and then you can write this, because there will be a question with regard to this legislation, right? So you can write that earlier it was like a lot of confusion whether women has a right or not. Their rights were very much restricted, but then finally it was settled that they have a right. And then again in 2020 it is like completely settled, equal right, both son and daughter will have. Since birth only, they will be having a right over ancestral property of the father.
Okay.
Okay,
so first they passed the law. Yes, first they passed the law on 9 September 2005, saying that daughter can claim equal property. And then it was the question was asked if father should have been alive on this date for the daughter to claim equal property. And then it was said that in 2018 it was said that even if father died before 9 September, daughter will still have right.
Hmm.
And then finally, like no matter what, from birth, daughter will have the same right
Hmm.
as son. So
Yeah.
that was in 2020. Rakesh
Yeah,
Sharma, Vinita.
basically this birth thing was mentioned here 2020, that this right arises from birth only. Here it was just said ki yeah, daughters also have a right. Here it was said daughter do not have a right. But why they don't have, why they have, that was not very clear. But now it's well settled. In 2020, from birth only they have a right, so they have a right. Vinita versus Rakesh. Even if you do not remember the Sharma, that's fine. Vinita versus Rakesh also. Or by any chance, if you forget the name of the case, you can even say that in the latest judgment of August 2020, what happened is it was finally settled that daughters also have a right. Even if it's a question with regard to Sridhan, you can mention this case, okay, because it's the latest thing that is going on. So that is why I'm saying, just remember this. You can put it anywhere, whatever question is coming. Vinita Sharma
Rakesh
versus,
and Vinita Sharma. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Vinita Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma,
These two
2020.
are brother sister. No, I'm guessing
Yeah,
these
yeah,
two are brother sister.
yeah, brothers and sisters.
Rakesh Sharma is name of that astronaut, Indian astronaut. Or
Yeah.
maybe that I can remember. Or
No, some
Rakesh
other.
Sharma and Rakesh Sharma versus sister, if I write, is that okay? If I don't remember.
Rakesh. No, it's sister versus Rakesh Sharma. No, sister only filed the case.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, so sister versus Rakesh Sharma 2020. If I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember, I should
No, if
remember.
you don't remember, don't write sister versus Rakesh Sharma, because some person's name may be sister, right?
What?
So don't write sister. Whatever is the name, that only you should write. If you do not remember, you write in a latest judgment of 2008 to 20 August, like that you write.
Yeah.
Do not write sister versus Rakesh Sharma. So this is clear, right? Testamentary, where the person writes a will and the person dies accordingly. Based on the will, it will be divided. If the person dies without having a will, then it will be equally divided, widow, son, and daughter. All right. Previously, like women's right to property was not there, so now it will be equally divided amongst widow, son, and daughter. So just remember these particular things with regard to will, and that there are these features. If you remember that there are these features of will, you can anyways frame that yourself. Okay. Next is Sridhan. So for Sridhan, if there is a short note or something, you can start with that in ancient times, property rights of women were very restricted. And there was this Manu, right? Manu said that a son, a wife, and a slave do not have property right. And if they acquire any property by their own, that property will belong to the male under whose protection they are living. Basically, the head under whose protection they are living, that person will have authority over it. Daughter's right to inherit was also disputed, as she was entitled to inherit only if she was not having any other brothers and all. Only in that case somehow she will get, otherwise it was not, equal rights were not basically given. So just because women were not having this right to acquire, hold, and dispose of property, it became very important, right? That sometimes women would need certain things, right? Even if you are not giving them property, some things they would need. And that is the reason why we have this concept of Stridhan. What is Stridhan again? It is of two different words. Stri, which obviously means women, Dhan means property. Stridhan is a property which is given to a woman at the time of her marriage, or it may be before marriage or after marriage also, right? If after the husband dies, like a widow, married woman, or a maiden, whomever you are giving, like almost all the things that a woman gets, right? All those were considered as Stridhan only. Otherwise, we understand that whatever is given to her at the time of marriage is Stridhan. But Supreme Court has held in many different cases that it's not just what she gets during her marriage, but it also will include before her marriage, after her marriage, whatever she received. It may be from her mother, father, father-in-law, mother-in-law, brothers, or some stranger also. Basically, most of the things were included under this concept of Stridhan. Why it was that? because otherwise women's right to hold or acquire property was very limited, right? So whatever they are getting, somehow those are Stridhan, where she will have like exclusive right. All right. So Stridhan consists of two words that we already discussed. Stridhan is the property that is given. It may be before her marriage, during her marriage, after her marriage, or after death of her husband also. So during her marriage, before fire, if someone is offering anything, during her bidai, if someone is offering her anything, any gift made by mother-in-law or father-in-law as a token of love at the first time of her marriage, or gifts that are made by mother, father, or brother of the woman to her. All those things will be included as Stridhan. Apart from that, the gifts that are made from strangers to women when she was made and married widow are also considered as Stridhan. So there are various cases where Supreme Court tried to include as many things as they can under this concept of Stridhan basically. All right. Now, just because mostly what we understand by Stridhan is whatever women will carry along with her at the time of her marriage. Basically, that is considered as Stridhan, all right? Like a general understanding is that only. That is why often what happens, Stridhan and dowry are considered to be the same thing, all right? But there is a difference between Stridhan and dowry. How are they different now? Because Stridhan we have seen, right? It's not just at the time of marriage, but before and after also whatever she is getting were considered as Stridhan. So dowry means what? Any property or valuable security that is given or agreed to be given by bride's side to bridegroom's family before, after, or during marriage. Why they agree to give it? It is because of demand, right? It is because of demand, undue influence, or coercion. You are convincing the other person to give it. That means from groom's side, there is some kind of an influence in case of dowry that you give these things and accordingly it is given. But in case of Stridhan, that is not done. All right. So it is not result of any demand, undue influence, or coercion, but it is voluntarily given to the women. All right. It is by way of gift. It is voluntarily given to women. Court has laid the differences between Stridhan and dowry in number of cases as well. And there was a case where it was held that women are absolute owner of Stridhan and that she can use it the way she wants. It was also held that under ordinary circumstances, husband will have no right or interest in Stridhan unless and until it's like a very serious major issue. The husband should not touch whatever is Stridhan. If he does also, he should try to restore back, okay, when he is able to do so. So if woman was gifted some jewelry or something, husband is taking because of some emergency situation, it should be returned. So basically that is the difference between Stridhan and dowry. Dowry is basically is given to groom's family, they can enjoy it, but Stridhan is exclusively women will decide what is to be done, what should be done. So if there is a question regarding this, you can also put the differences and you can mention how dowry is bad and Stridhan is good. Those also you can mention, that even if woman was not having rights to acquire, hold, or dispose of property, she still had some kind of a security basically, right? That I have these things with me. Those stuff also you can mention. Then you can give some conclusion, whatever the question may be. Enactment of Hindu Succession Act is a welcome step in strengthening property rights of Hindu women. Due to this act, women are being provided those rights which were denied to them for all these years. It prescribes that women will be absolute owner of her Stridhan regardless of whether it was obtained before or after commencement of this act. So even if someone got married in 1955, that woman was carrying Stridhan along with her, those will be considered as her exclusive right? She will have exclusive right over those property. So basically whatever the question is, focus on writing a proper intro, proper conclusion, and you can write 2-3 sentences with regard to why property is so much important. All right, these kind of a thing you can write. And apart from that, it will be general question only, Stridhan, will, or this particular legislation, right? What else they will ask? These things are only there. right? Is this part clear?
Yeah. Is there anything like salient features of Hindu Succession Act, anything like that? Like,
So if there is a question with regard to features of this legislation, again, it's fine only even if they ask, you can write that this is a legislation. This applies for all the 4 legislations that we have seen, okay? If there is a question with regard to salient features, you can mention that this legislation is specifically codifying the law with regard to succession and inheritance. If it's with regard to maintenance, same thing, you can write maintenance and guardianship, right? That it is properly codifying the law with regard to this particular matter. That is one feature. Secondly, you can mention applicable to whole of India. That's another feature. Thirdly, you can mention it is applicable to Hindus by relation, as well as it is applicable to Buddhist, Sikhs, Jain. Another feature you may write, it is not applicable to Christians, Muslim, Parsi, and Jew. They are governed by their own specific law, right? That thing you can write. And after that, whatever you have read from this particular legislation, right, with regard to inheritance, maybe guardianship, maintenance, whatever you know, you try to frame features from that. Okay, you may mention that it is strengthening, it is empowering women by giving rights that they were deprived of for all these years, and they are being made absolute owner of whatever property they are inheriting, right? Those also you can mention as a feature. Then you can mention that it's a good thing that we have a codified law that will be applicable to people of all these 4 religions. Does not matter where they are residing, which custom they are following, which tradition they are following, they will be bound by this particular legislation, which brings uniformity. We know what will be applicable, right? There is no like too much of confusion or other things that you can mention. Then it provides for intestate succession also. It mentions with regard to how property will be divided, how ancestral property will be divided. Then from time to time, just to meet needs of situation, there are amendments also. And by way of amendment, what they are doing is whatever changes are needed, they are bringing it. One good example is the change that was made in 2005, which was again approved by Supreme Court of India. There also you can put the case, right? Vinita versus Rakesh Sharma, that you can mention. So whatever you basically know from this legislation, you will be able to frame some 6-7 this thing, right? 6-7 features out of that. That should be enough, okay? Because if it's like a feature of a certain legislation, right, it's a general question. Basically, you can frame your own features, you can just write with regard to that, right? So again, you can mention that if with regard to property, we do not have a codified law, we would not know if a person leaves property without like writing a will or something, what will happen. So when we have one single legislation that is applicable to all Hindus, Buddhists, Sikh, and this one, we can refer to that legislation. Accordingly, we can proceed with it in case the owner of that particular property dies, right? Here also, if owner dies, we know what is to be done, how we need to proceed. If there is a will, how it will be done. All that stuff also you can write. Right? Basically, this legislation is bringing much needed clarity with regard to the property related matters, right? How property will be divided, how it will be done, all of this. You said you have studied, right? What will you write if there is a question on gift?
Gift, I have to revise again. It was in for.
Okay, so with regard to gift,
yeah.
I think gift, we discussed in Indian Contract Act also, if you remember. Usually under contract, what happens? Both the parties should be getting something. But if you are making a gift, there will not be something that the other person will get in return. Basically, there is no consideration.
No consideration, yeah. No consideration.
Yeah. So in general,
transfer of something, yeah.
Right. So in general, without consideration, it will be invalid. But there are certain situations where Without consideration, it will be valid, and gift is an example. All right. So if you want to gift your property to another person, that will be valid or binding, but when only when it is properly registered document. All right. Take for example, you are having, take for example, a mother is having a property. One day she was very happy with her son or with her daughter. She just said, okay, fine, whatever property I have, I will just gift everything to you. All right. It may be just because she was so happy that day she said it, but she did not mean it. All right. That is why whenever a person wants to gift anything to the other person, it has to be properly registered and everything. All right. It should not be just like words that the person is saying. On the basis of that, gift will not take place. Gift again may be movable or immovable property. So you can mention that with regard to transfer of property in India, gift is a very common way by which property is given, right, to another person. How you will transfer it? The person who is owner of the property, whether movable or immovable, he will execute a gift deed, right? He will mention that I want to gift so and so property, so and so thing to this particular person, and I am writing this thing, I am signing this with my full consciousness, without anyone's influence, coercion, etc. Accordingly, that should be registered. Only then the person can claim for it. All right. If it is not registered, simply I told someone, that is not applicable. So those things you can mention simply. I don't think they would ask for 10 mark. But yeah, if it is for 6 mark, those property things you can mention.
Mostly they will ask. Mostly they may ask for 6 marks. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think for 10 mark they would ask gift.
Yeah, this is not that big, no.
Yeah, it's not that big. So I'm just feeling or hoping that gift, Sridhan,
what
or
intro? Yeah, what intro should be for Sridhan? I can write lot of intro. Like since ancient times, women were denied rights. With women empowerment, Sridhan is very important. So and so I can write. But for gift, what intro can I write? Like
gift also anything? You can write. No, that like gifting something to a person is a way of showing our love or affection to that person. So under Indian legal system also gift is recognized, right? Then how a like gift also is a very common way of transferring property to another person along with sale and other stuff, right? So gift is also a very common way. With regard to gift, it may be movable or immovable property. We do not have any restriction with regard to that. Similarly, we do not have a restriction that I can gift to my relatives only or my family only. I can gift anything to anyone, but then for validity of it, it should be like properly signed, seal and everything like that. You can write. And again, like having this way as then you can mention regarding contracting also. Otherwise, if you are giving something to another person, you will expect something in return. But because gift is like a voluntarily, you are giving something out of love and affection. It is like natural love and affection. So you are not expecting anything in return, but still it will be like a valid thing only, right? Like without consideration, you are gifting something to another person. That will be valid thing only. So like that, you can basically remember transfer. It is a way of transferring movable or immovable property. It will be by way of registered instruments signed on behalf of the donor and attested by at least 2 witnesses. They will sign and get it registered. Gift existence of future property, right? Gift may be suspended or revoked. The donor or the donor and the donee may agree to happening of the specified event. So they may say also that we are gifting this property. Like I may say that I just have one property where I am residing. So I will gift this property after my death to you. Like that also I can put conditions. So at that time, that particular document will be registered and everything, but it will be transferred to you only after my death. Like that also I can put. All right, and only when it is having a proper valid document, you can actually go to court and file a case with regard to it, and then the property will accordingly be transferred in your name. Right? Yeah. So do you feel that you will be able to write for all these units?
Yeah. Unit 4. No, yeah, Unit 4. Yeah. Okay, that's good. And
5?
then do adoption, maintenance. This in Unit 5, we did kinds of guardians, no, like one natural guardian, guardian appointed through will, guardian appointed by court order, that one, duties and power, study of Hindu.
And
Yeah,
another
okay,
one
that,
was by act,
yeah,
and then
by
de facto is not recognized.
not recognized, yeah. Yeah, so for de facto short note, I can write no, like 2, 3, 4 lines. Like de facto means one, if a child's parents die and he's been someone else is taking care of him for many years, that he will not become guardian just like that through. So that is de facto, and then I can write legally such guardians are not recognized, so and so, just to stretch the answer if I need to.
Yeah, if you need to, you can write. And it's not like
Yeah.
after parents' death only. When parents are alive, that time also some relative might be living with them. They can exercise some power along with parents. All right,
Okay.
it's not like after
Oh,
that.
okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So yeah, okay. Unit 1, I was revising little yesterday. Unit 1 and Unit 4.
Hmm.
Um,
And unit
today
2.
Unit 2, I have to revise more today.
Fine, so just the point is remembering these small points that you have anyways remembered,
Yeah.
right? Natural guardian, this, that is enough. You, like, I have full confidence you will be able to stretch it. Like framing thing is not an issue. So yeah, just focus on remembering the points somehow, right? And for today's thing also, right? Somehow you remember this part. This is only important. Otherwise, you know what is property, what is its importance, all of that you already know.
Here, no, in this page, can you go up 1 second where it went at our divorce one?
This one.
Yeah, here below long paragraphs are there, no, any marriage solemnized whether before. This is the explanation of this, right? Section 13.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll be able to stretch on my own. Section 13.
You can
Each
even
of the
read this one. This is the exact provision from the legislation, all right? This is grounds available for both husband and wife, and wife may also present. That means these are grounds available to wife. You can go through this part. It will be very clear then. And this is just like point wise I have given. So yeah, you can go through this part also. That will be clear for you. I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing is divorce by mutual consent. So subject to provisions of this act, that means Hindu Marriage Act, a petition for dissolution of marriage by a decree of divorce may be presented to district court by both the parties to marriage together, whether such marriage was solemnized before or after this particular act, on the ground that they have been living separately for a period of 1 year or more, that they have not been able to live together. All right, and they have mutually agreed to dissolve the marriage. And once parties go before the court, made not earlier than 6 months after date of presentation of this petition, and not later than 18 months after the said, that if the petition is not withdrawn in the meanwhile, the court shall, on being satisfied, after hearing the parties and after making such enquiries as it may think fit, that the marriage has been solemnized and that advancement of the parties are true, pass a decree for divorce declaring the marriage to be dissolved. All these grounds that are there, right, which we saw under section 13, those are what when one party wants a divorce. All right, if like a husband and wife wants divorce, she will go before court and she will need to justify her point why you need divorce. You cannot simply go and be like, I want divorce. You cannot be like that. You would need valid ground, right? Once your ground is justified, then only court will allow it, right? Because other party would suffer otherwise unnecessary. So you need to satisfy any of those grounds, then only you can get divorce. Sometimes what may happen is all those grounds that are there, right? Those grounds may not be present, all right? There may not be cruelty or other stuff. Parties, otherwise, both of them are fine, but just that they do not match with each other, all right? They cannot live together. And they realized it after marriage only. In that case, both the parties can go for mutual divorce, all right? This is mostly seen, all right, like divorce by mutual consent. Okay, from this a short note might come, so I'm just telling you what it is. So dissolution of marriage presented before court both the parties to the marriage whether solemnized before on the ground that they have been living separately for 1 year or more and they are not able to live. So dissolution of marriage, you can, if there is a short note with regard to divorce by mutual consent, okay, you can again start with that Hindu marriage is a divine union, it was divine union, they did not accept that it's a contract and all that stuff. But now slightly we are moving towards like contract kind of a thing where it's a mixture of both. Divine thing is also there because the purpose of marriage is not just procuration of children but also to perform all the divine rights and obligations that we have. Similarly, we also have the provision of divorce, right? And there is one more concept that is added is divorce by mutual consent, where all the grounds of divorce may not be there, but both the parties have mutually understood that it is not possible for them to live together. All right, in that case, they have a right to ask for divorce. Okay, is it clear? So
this is section 13B.
Yeah, 13B. If you can, this you can remember. Mutual consent, there may be a short note. Section 13 is grounds.
Yeah, in section 13 is grounds, like there is for husband and wife both, and then there is only for husband, and then there is under section 13B by both mutual consent.
Yeah, yeah. So not only for husband, those are for wife.
Yeah, that's what. First, only one is the, I mean, only divorce husband. That's what I meant.
Yeah, divorce husband, but grounds are available to wife. Yes, you are right.
Grounds are available. So 9 points under grounds for both husband and wife. 2 points if the wife wants divorce, and then under 13B by mutual consent. So 3 things.
Yeah. Grounds. Actually, grounds for wife, I guess there are 4. You can read that part. I just picked up the easy one so that you can easily remember. You can go through that provision of the legislation that you said right now, right? That I'll read this part to stretch the question. That part you can once go through. Whatever grounds are there, all those are grounds only. I just tried to simplify it for you.
This grounds for divorce comes under matrimonial remedies, no?
Yeah, divorce is a matrimonial remedy. Mutual divorce by mutual is a matrimonial remedy, and then maintenance, right? That after divorce, wife will be entitled. That also is a matrimonial remedy. That you cannot simply marry and then leave. You will have to give maintenance. That also is a matrimonial remedy. So if there is a question on or write a short note on mutual consent, you can write it as under section 13B. Okay, fine, you realized you cannot live with the other person, but it cannot be simply after 1 week of marriage you are going and asking for mutual consent. It should not be like that. Minimum 1 year duration you need. Why? Because in this provision, it clearly mentioned that they are living separately for a period of 1 year or more. That means after you realize you should live separately for 1 year or more, and then you can file a case with regard to that, right? So they have not been able to live together and they have mutually agreed to dissolve the marriage by way of mutual consent, right? So in that case, what court will do is that once they file this application for mutual consent, right, court will wait for 6 months from the date of submission of application. From 6 months to 18 months, what they will do is that wait for the parties whether they withdraw this application or not. If they do not withdraw, court will do necessary inquiries and all. Maybe court will ask the parties to come before them. They will try to resolve the matter. What is your issue? What is your issue? They would hear each side separately, then try to resolve the disputes or come to a conclusion between them. If nothing is working, then court can finally give divorce by mutual consent. All right, that is under section 13b. So here you can mention that it's very good thing that they have this concept of mutual consent, but again they are keeping this thing also in mind that this should not be misused by parties to marriage, right? That is why 1 year minimum duration is given. After parties file the application also, after that also they may realize that it was a mistake. So they are being given a lot of time to think about this decision. After that only court would inquire, and court will simply not give that, okay, fine, marriage is dissolved, you are free. Court will again try to make them understand the situation, try to bring them under a compromise kind of a situation. If nothing is working, then this provision is there. So accordingly, you can mention that, okay, fine, now Hindu marriage is no more like a divine concept like it used to be, but still it's a good thing only that we are not like contract also. Okay, fine, today I am married, tomorrow it's not working means instant divorce. That's not the thing, right? Again, we have all this time frame and everything given. So those also you can basically elaborate, writing your own opinion whether it's good or a bad thing on a certain concept that they are asking. Okay, is it too much?
No, I'll see how much ever I can do.
Yeah, other things to you remember only, no, by now. Just you remember today's things.
Yeah.
And from today's also, right? Everything is like story kind of a thing only. Just one thing is there which you need to remember. I'll again tell you with regard to this, right? 2005. Before 2005, only male had right. Yeah. Then they made an amendment. Yeah. Right? Yeah. In amendment, they said 9 September 2005. So it was a question whether father should be alive or not. In one case, they said father should be alive. In another case, they said it's not necessary that father should be alive. Finally, it is settled in Vinita Sharma versus Rakesh Sharma, August 2020, saying that right of daughter on ancestral properties from birth only, just like a son has. Right? So it is not necessary whether father is alive or not. Just this much you need to remember. Other things you anyways know only. Sridhan, this, that. These are normal concepts, right? Or maybe you can go through this part. That's enough from today's class. So you will be able to remember all these things. Other things you already know. These two parts you revise today, and you have another one complete day to revise all of this, right? Okay. So any other thing left?
No, hopefully not.
Unit 1, Unit 2. Yeah, done only. No, these only they will ask. So yeah, fine. Go through these points then, okay? You will be able to elaborate and just limit yourself to 3.5 or something, but attempt all the questions, okay? Okay, then fine. All the best for your exam. I will share this document. You can delete the previous one and refer this, all right, for Hindu law, this document. Okay, this is having entire thing. All right, fine. And if features come for any of these legislations, do not think it's something that you have not prepared. You have prepared features for all these legislations. All right, whatever you know, you write that. Okay, 3 features I already told you. You just mentioned this legislation is codifying the law relating to minority and guardianship, relating to this, relating to that. Territorial jurisdiction regarding relation. Then whatever you know inside, frame your own things. Okay?
Yeah.
All right then. All the best for your Hindu law exam. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay then. Bye-bye.
Bye.